Hope everyone is having a wonderful holiday season. Welcome in to the Calcio Connection podcast. We are connecting with you, Italian football fans from all over the world. I am Alex Donno alongside Jerry Mancini. Jerry, how's your holiday season treating you so far, bud? You had any panettone yet?
Yeah, I have actually.
So have I.
Yeah, it's actually great. You know what? Let's we should do a poll. What do you prefer more, panettone or pandoro?
It's panettone for me all day. It's all day. Like when I was a kid, like I used to eat pandoro because I didn't like the fruit, like the raisins, whatever you call them in the panettone, and I liked the powdered sugar on the pandoro. But then, like, I don't know, like when I got into my 20s, I just, for some reason, I started to appreciate the panettone. It's like, I don't know if it's like an acquired taste. It's like when you're a kid, you have your first beer, you probably don't like it, right? It's like, oh, what is this crap? Like, why does my dad drink this all the time? And then eventually you build a taste for it. That was the same way it was for me with panettone. Once I acquired the taste for it, I just, like, I couldn't go back. Like, I feel like pandoro to me is like children's food. Like, panettone is the real deal.
I just think it's like a fluffy cake. That's what it is, pandoro.
Yeah.
Now, panettone, I used to hate the raisins growing up. I
Same
hated
here.
it. Now I'm a traditionalist that I have to have the raisin over like chocolate or vanilla or pistachio. There's so many different flavors we have here. I don't know how it is where you are, but like
same here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a fruit kind of panettone, but I did try this. I don't know the brand. I have to find out, but we got this new one at one of my stores, and it was amazing. I think I need to take a picture next time because this was like the freshest panettone I ever had. It was so moist. It was so amazing. Yeah, like I find that it's really hard to find a good panettone that's not dry.
Over in North America, it is, because you notice, like, when I'm shopping for a panettone, and sometimes you have to like pay a little bit more for a good one. And my father buys like 50 of them every holiday season, and he, like, you know, he'll hand them out, like, he'll give a bunch to me because I eat them like it's nothing, and he'll give them out to like family friends and stuff. But you always have to find the ones. And keep in mind, Jerry's in Canada. I'm in Florida, in Miami. So you have to find the ones that are actually imported from Italy, even if that means paying a little bit more, because they make some of these like knockoffs, like stateside or in South America, and they're never right. Like, they kind of taste like panettone, but you're right, Jerry. They're dry, or the texture is just wrong. Like, you have to get the ones that come from Italy.
No, absolutely. It's I've never really got one from Italy itself, but like, yeah, you are right though. There has to be a kind of productivity, I guess, coming from Italy. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you got to. And listen, I sometimes, like, a lot of times I'll tweet about panettone because, like, dude, Jerry, this happened to me like a week ago. I had to work really late till like 2:30 in the morning. And I had this hunger craving, like, when I was done working at like 2, which is the worst time to eat something like that. But there was like a half a panettone in my kitchen, like the full size one. And I ate the entire half that was left of panettone. It was delicious, but I felt terrible about it because I'm like, man, I should have eaten this over 4 or 5 days, not over one night.
What about Colombo? I think those are the biggest knockoffs. Garbage.
I don't think I have had one.
So it's like a panettone. Think about it, but it's like a big round cake, and it's got sugar on top. Like, it's the worst thing ever.
I think I've seen them before at the grocery store.
They're not the greatest. I think it's a waste of money personally, but they don't hit the spot like a panettone does. I can tell you that.
Yeah, it hits the spot. And like a couple of years ago, people heard me talking about them, people I worked with, and they're like, oh, I want to try one of those. And so, like, I brought a couple panettone for people that I worked with, and they hated them. Like, they didn't like them. They're like, I was expecting it to be like a super sweet cake. So I think it's an acquired taste. I think it's something, if you grew up with it or if you've had a bunch of them, it becomes something you prefer. But, you know, it is what it is. You know, I wanted to say a couple serious words on this episode. It's not the only reason why we're on today. You know, Jerry and I, we hadn't seen each other face to face in a while. I want to say rest in peace and many prayers to the family of Sinisa Mihajlovic. I'm just devastated by this. And, Jerry, obviously from a footballing standpoint, just an incredible player. The only Serie A player to ever score a hat trick of free kicks in a game. I can remember hearing interviews with Miha over the years, and like he would talk about the way he approached free kicks, direct free kicks. Like he would take them like with the same mindset that you would take a penalty kick, where he just like pinpoints the spot and he tries to, psych out the keeper and all that. That just goes to show you what an amazing foot that he had and the accuracy he had. Because normally I think a lot of players are just like, let me try to curl it, let me try to get it over the wall, and then I'm going to pray it's going to go in, where he could like pick out the exact spot in the exact corner that he wanted. So that's from a footballing standpoint. And he played for both our clubs, Jerry. He played at Lazio. He also played at Inter. So we both have fond memories of Sinisa Mihajlovic. But from a human standpoint, this 53 years old. It's way, way, way too young. He'd been battling with cancer for the last several years. And Jerry, he continued to work, continued to fight, never asked for anyone's sympathy, right? Never tried to use, his health situation as any sort of a crutch or an excuse for anything. Like, this is just a tough SOB. And I'm so sorry, because I thought if anybody could beat this, I thought it was him. And it just goes to show you just what a son of a bitch cancer can be. And it took an amazing human being from us.
No, absolutely. And he holds the record for most free kicks in Serie A. So that just tells you what kind of player he really is. 28 of his 38 goals in Italy's top flight were scored from direct kicks. Like, I don't think any player will ever achieve what he was able to do as a set piece specialist. Like, there are very few of his quality and his expertise that he can really deliver from far range too, not just like from outside the box. I mean, like, there were very minimal players that could actually score a goal from midfield like he did,
Yeah.
and put some top flight on a ball. So my when I look at Sinisa, and I know that he played for Inter and he played for Roma, and he was very successful at Sampdoria, but I think his success will always stem back to Lazio. That's where he kind of took himself over that next level and became successful as winning with his team, with Lazio, winning a Scudetto, a Coppa Italia, the Super Cup, the last Super Cup he won with Lazio, actually, I believe in '98 versus Mallorca or Man United. I forgot who it is. I can't on the top of my head, but it's you have to look at the achievements. He won 2 Coppa Italias, 1 Serie A Scudetto with 2 Super Coppa Italianas. He was a UEFA Cup winner, the last one, and he won a UEFA Super Cup. So, sorry, not the last UEFA Cup's Winners' Cup. I don't think it was the last, but the UEFA Super Cup, I think, was. I'm not sure. Or it might be vice versa. I would have to do my research. But at the end of the day, this is a guy who really took himself onto the map and established himself as a successful player and one of the best with Lazio. And then he goes to Inter and very successful once again, where he wins the Scudetto, wins 2 Coppa Italias and a Super Coppa Italiana in 2 seasons. So in between Lazio and Inter, he really kind of made himself a very well-known player. On the coaching side, I guess you can say that it wasn't, not to disrespect, and it didn't always work out for him on the coaching side. But at the end of the day, he still managed to manage some respectable clubs. He was Serbian Coach of the Year in 2019. He also was awarded the Gazzetta Sport Legend Award in 2019 and was Serie A Coach of the Month back in April 2022. So he, I think it's never easy to manage a team like Bologna,
Yeah,
considering
I think he
that.
did a very good job there considering the limitations. I thought he did an excellent job.
So he did the best he could, especially considering the circumstances he was underneath too. So it was
Yeah,
never
that's
easy.
right, and it wasn't only the club situation, but, he was dealing with his own illness because because for I don't know what when he first, was diagnosed, I think it was during either his first or his second season at Bologna, and that was always something he had to deal with, whether it be the treatments or, the relapses, when he maybe thought he was in remission and then it would come back, so that's a whole 'nother thing, like, just to manage your health and your real life when you're dealing something like that and the entire time you're managing a football club, which I imagine to be basically a 24-hour a day job. I don't think too many top flight managers sleep a whole lot at night, so there was a lot on his plate and a lot he had to deal with off the pitch.
I look at a person who, when I look at everything that what he's gone through, I look at a person who defeated leukemia,
Yeah,
because at the end of the day he beat it once, and he kind of sustained a longer life than probably anticipated for himself. He probably lived another 10 years more than what he probably would have thought, and managed to show people the courage and the fight to never give up, to go the extra mile, and you never know what can happen, never to back down from a fight. So it's sad that he has lost his life at the age of 53, but this guy has shown the character, and maybe encourages others to be like him if they have to fight this sort of disease, right? So
yeah,
um it you never want to see anybody go, but at the end of the day, you look back on the fond memories of what he provided off and on the pitch. So the fact that when he visited Lazio, he would show the respect and the time to the curva, to the fans, to say hi, to acknowledge all the good memories of the seasons that were spent, and what he managed to do, so as a player. So it you take the good, and that's the best thing you could do, is that you look at him as what he did for the game, and he made an impact. He was an impactful player.
yeah. Amen to that. So we're looking at as we're almost through this World Cup journey, and sucks the Azzurri were not in it. And Jerry is he's Canadian. I'm American. We're both Italo Canadian or Italian American, however you want to say it. And USA got to the round of 16. Canada didn't get out of the group. So obviously the knockout stages have been frustrating, and not having the Azzurri in it has been frustrating. It's been a pretty entertaining cup, though. I mean, we had some wild upsets, including the Cinderella story of Morocco to get all the way to the semifinals. But at the end of the day, Jerry, everybody wins because we got to have some upsets early in the knockout stages and in the group stages. But then we get a clash of the Titans in the final, right? Two of the favorites are going to go head to head on Sunday, Argentina and France. And I was just looking before we started this episode, Jerry, I was looking at the odds for this matchup. And this is everything you would hope for. It's basically a pick 'em. Like, there's not really a favorite here. I mean, if you're going to really split hairs, I guess Argentina is the very slight favorite, but there's no spread on the game. They're not favored by a half goal even, but slightly on the money line. It's a pick 'em at minus 114 on the spread for Argentina on the money line. Argentina plus 185 to France plus 187. So you're basically getting the same return depending on which team you bet. And the on the three, I don't even think. Oh, the draw is plus 202, which would just cover regulation, so that would take you through regulation time. So this is about as close of a matchup as we could handicap heading into this final. France, the defending champions, and I don't think it's happened since the 60s that a team has won 2 consecutive World Cups. So it's not something you see every day. So Jerry, I will ask you, and I know you're a big Lionel Messi fan, and he's of course been a huge part of this Argentina World Cup run. is Argentina, Messi, is he going to finally hoist the World Cup trophy, as this would probably be the end of his meaningful international career? Is he going to get the cup?
Well, for starters, I haven't been an expert or the know-it-all kind of guy for this World Cup. I would say that I've watched a handful of games compared to others, and I'll say because work has been so hectic for myself, along with like personal life, and the past few weeks have been hard to watch games, so I haven't watched much. I have put more. I watched the Canada games. I thought Canada was like they need time to develop.
They
That's a
didn't look
whole.
good.
I
They didn't look
digress.
good at all. Yeah.
I
Stick to
digress.
hockey.
I digress. But I would just say that Canada didn't look good. When it comes to France and in England,
Argentina.
Argentina, it's tough. You got Mbappe, who could become better than Ronaldo and Messi after Sunday if he wins.
Mm-hmm.
2 World Cups. What does Messi and Ronaldo have ever achieved? You know what I mean? Like these guys winning awards. I don't know off the top of my head what he's won. Ballon d'Ors to all the other stupid accolades that they give you, but he's won trophies with PSG. But then again, people are gonna say, well, he won it with PSG in Ligue 1. Who did he really have to beat? This is a team that can never achieve Champions League. Look how unsuccessful they are. It's great that he can win all these awards, but what he did at club, then you look at, well, vice versa. Well, he took France to a World Cup final twice, and he's 22 years old or something like that. Like,
yeah. What was he when they won their first one? He was like 19, I think, when they won in 2018. So yeah, that was incredible.
Yeah. So it's then you got Messi, but if Messi wins this, is he the greatest player of all time?
Oh, I think he is.
I think he is.
Yeah.
I hands down, no debate. I think he's better than Maradona if he wins Sunday. Like that. That's how far I'll go. Everyone asks, when will Messi take his team on his back? I'll say up until now, until the finals. He has taken Argentina on his back. He's delivered key goals when needed. He's made the big moves when needed. He's made that extra mile to help his team when it's not going their way. So who wins Sunday? Like France has a lot of injuries. Aren't they missing half of their team?
But they still, it seems like no matter who has to step up, right? Because they were down Benzema even to start the tournament, and still like whoever fills that role, and Giroud has been really good. It's like they have so much depth, and everybody on that team can score. I mean, Teo Hernandez scored a big goal in their semifinal matchup. So it's tough. Like I don't know, in a weird way, like I'm leaning to France to win it, but I'm rooting for Argentina because just as a neutral, and I'm not Argentinian. I've always kind of had a soft spot for them because of all the great Serie A players and Inter players, and Maradona, who at Napoli, who was a big part of my childhood watching him play. So I always have a little bit of a soft spot for Argentina. Obviously, Zanetti is one of my favorites of all time. So I'd like, and Lautaro's on the team. He's not been starting. He did hit that big penalty kick in what was it, the quarterfinal in the shootout to help them go through, which was nice. Otherwise, he's not having a great cup. But I think for the Messi storyline, I would love to see him cap off one of the most brilliant careers in the history of football. I would like to see him cap off his career with a World Cup victory, because the notable players for France have all got one. Like they're the notable players on their team were on the team 4 years ago when they got to hoist the cup. I'd like to see Messi go out. So that's the better storyline. I lean to France probably winning a close matchup, either in pens or in extra time. I don't think this one's going to be decided in regulation. I think it's going to be one of those types of finals. But I'm going to be more excited to see Argentina win.
It's crazy to think that the last time Argentina lost in this World Cup was their game opener versus Saudi Arabia.
Yep.
Like everyone went nuts thinking that they were done for losing to Saudi Arabia, and that they weren't going to get out of the group stage. And my oh my, did it really turned around? They haven't lost since that game, so it's crazy. And I think for Argentina to beat France, and I know it's very easy to say, I think it comes down to defense. And Argentina's always had letdowns in every World Cup. I just believe it's always been their defensive back end.
Yeah.
Like it's always been the defense that has always let this team down. And if they can play a simple game and just limit their mistakes, and I think don't give France that much possession, I think that will benefit them in the game. I think the less possession France has, the less effective they'll be. Like that's what it comes down to. And Argentina just needs to protect the ball more. Like I've seen when I've watched Argentina play in the limited games I've been able to, I just think that they look like they're in control of a game, winning 2-0, as you saw against Australia,
Yeah.
as you
Yeah.
saw against the Netherlands, where they look like they have the game in the bag, and all of a sudden they kind of like let one in, and it's 2-1, and there's a crack in them. Like all of a sudden there's a confidence barrier that comes down, and like all of a sudden the team starts to like struggle, and they're a little worried, like they don't know what's going on. Like I thought they did a good job against Croatia. I don't.
Croatia looked like dog shit in that game, by the way. And I don't know how much of that was Argentina making them look bad or just like because Jerry with Croatia, I think they ran out of gas because they go to penalty kicks every time they play in a knockout game, right? Going 4 years ago, this year, like they always get past regulation. I think Croatia was dog tired by the time they faced Argentina.
Oh, I saw parts. I thought the biggest takeaway, when we could talk about this right after, is Croatia losing Brozovic in the second half, and that
Yeah.
really hurt the midfield because I think he was like the engine to kind of with Modric. Obviously, you don't want to disrespect Modric, but like the two are like what kind of moves the midfield. Yeah, it's you could say that maybe they ran out of gas. I don't know. I think it's a team. I think it's Argentina just taking advantage of a team
Could
that
be. Yeah.
like you. It's very easy to say then, well, they're tired, they're hurt, we can beat them. But I think what Argentina did was that they were focused. Like you saw that run by Messi. Like that run by Messi down that right side is vintage Messi. Like that is like Messi saying, I want the World Cup and you're not stopping me. It's based I saw on the reactions and the responses on Twitter, it seems as if this has been a successful World Cup, one that many didn't think would happen, considering that it's right in the middle of the season of league play. So you didn't know what would you expect from your players, given that they've played so much up till now. Yeah, you have any final thoughts? I don't. I'm not gonna give it. I'll leave it like this. I'm not gonna give a prediction for this game because I don't want to mush it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
so
yeah. I don't really
I don't want to
care
mush it.
about mushing it. Yeah.
Okay then.
Do you want my prediction?
I'm going with Argentina.
Okay.
You're
I'm
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 going
gonna go
Argentina.
I'm gonna go with France 2-1 in extra time. And like I think that if Argentina scores first, obviously what you said, Jerry, they have to have the mentality to close out the game. But then I think if France scores first, I don't think it even gets to extra time because I think they're more solid defensively. It can probably kill off the game if they get the lead. So I wonder. So like I feel like Argentina is going to score probably the early goal. France is going to get a late equalizer. It's going to go to extra time and it's going to be crazy. But yeah, I think it's going to be one of those things. What about? Do you care what happens in the third place game
No,
tomorrow?
I said this the other day. What the fuck is the point of the third place game? Can you tell me? Like I don't give a
Yeah,
shit. Like, how are you so motivated to feel like you finished third, to know you were 2 spots behind to win it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's the incentive of a third place game? I know, obviously, money. Don't I don't want to hear about
Yeah.
the stupidest freaking
Well, you
reason.
know, they have a bronze medal, so they need to decide which country to give the bronze medal to.
I hate it, man. I growing up, I loved it because it's like, oh, an extra game.
Yeah.
Cool. You get
Yeah.
finished third. Now you're looking at it, it's like it's a meaningless freaking game, man.
Well,
I
the third place game, it's usually high scoring because the teams don't take it as seriously, so it's a little more free flowing usually. Because like in the final, everybody's tense, right? Because it's the real final. In the third place game, it's like, all right, let's have some fun.
I think Morocco will take it serious. I'll give it to
Mm,
Morocco. I think
yeah,
Morocco will take it more serious, considering that this is the first time. This could be the first time they finish in a third place in a World Cup. So I think that
yeah.
would mean a lot to a country who has never made it this far in their history. So I think there's a lot on the line for Morocco compared to Croatia. So just given the history, like there is no history for Morocco. So I'll say that Morocco comes out really strong tomorrow and will play for pride. That's
Yeah.
and they look like a team who really plays for pride and wants to do the best possible, even if it's not first place. That's what I've kind of seen in every game is that a team trying to defy the odds and just try to grow and take their country or their club to the next level in order to grow and develop. So yeah, those are my final thoughts of this World Cup, and I'm just glad that it's almost freaking done.
Yeah, I could see. I could. By the way, what you said about Morocco, I could see that happening. Croatia is favored in the game, but it's like I'm not going to bet on the third place game. I'm not
The
crazy.
favorite? How much? What's the odds?
Well, actually, it's also a pick 'em, but Croatia. Oh no, sorry, it's Croatia minus half a goal at plus 136, or the money line is Croatia minus 140. So they're very slight favorites in the game. I just hope that under no circumstance in a third place game does Dalic, the Croatian coach, play Brozovic, because I assume he's probably too injured to play. But coming out of his injury, like Dalic basically said, like, he was having thigh pain. Brozovic told the trainers, so like I took him out of the game kind of as a precaution for him. But he made it sound like it's not impossible that he isn't like fit enough to play tomorrow. But it's like, dude, if they risk, because he was injured most of the season so far in Serie A, so if they risk re-injuring his thigh or worsening his thigh injury for a third place game, I'm going to be so mad. Because again, like all these Croatian players, healthy or not, they're going to be dead tired coming out of this cup, Jerry. Like they're going to be dead tired after this, because second straight World Cup. They get all the way to the last match weekend, right? It's not the final this time, but they still have another game to play, and they go to extra time almost every time they play. So all the Croatian players that come out of this when they go back to their clubs, they're going to be exhausted.
But so here's a question, and I know Latito would intervene right away, but can the club itself intervene and have a say, knowing that the player is not 100% healthy and still has a obligation to go back to his club and has to play for another 6 more months? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, is there a fine line where a team steps in and says, okay, we know that our player is not 100%. We do not want him playing tomorrow. Or do they not have that say because he is there to represent his country? It's up to him as the player if he wants to play or not.
Yeah,
Like,
I
I
don't.
wonder.
Yeah, like I don't believe they have any official input on the decision, but I'm sure they will try and encourage a coach not to play their guy if they think he's hurt. Like, but I think that's all they can do. Like, if would not surprise me if like Beppe Marotta has left some texts on Dalic's phone, like, hey, like, listen, how's my guy doing? Take it easy. Maybe don't play him in this stupid third place game that nobody cares about. Right. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's not the decision of the club. It's the decision of the country's coach and the player himself. Like, I don't think that they can have any official say in it, because like, and I'm assuming that's the case, Jerry, because like a club can't really. I know that they've tried to fight it sometimes, but like they can't refuse a call up. Like if a player gets called up, the club can't like block it. Like they have to let the player go. So I would assume the same thing applies to injuries, that there's no way the club can say, hey, he may be nursing something, so don't play him today. All they can do is try to encourage.
Man, I think like a guy like Brozovic in the long term is really not going to benefit from this World Cup. Like you can see the tear and wear on him, and
Yeah.
I think as the season progresses after in January, I don't think he's gonna. I think he's gonna struggle to stay fit. I really do. Like the fact that he couldn't stay fit for Croatia kind of like makes me think, okay, this is a player who is kind of like dealing with some significant injuries this year, and the World Cup didn't make it easier for himself. It's like Barella. I think the month off was so beneficial that a guy like him could really use the step back and take a few weeks to kind of like heal, recover, just like from fatigue and whatever it may be. You got Lautaro Martinez still playing in the World Cup. He hasn't played significant minutes, so I don't
Well,
think
he was like early, and then he wasn't playing well. He got benched, so he's going to be somewhat fresh by the time he comes back. But he wasn't playing well, and then like Lukaku had plenty of time to recover because Belgium didn't get out of the group stage. And like Jerry, going back to that when he was brought on when he wasn't really fit. It was a horror show. Like he was missing sitter after sitter after sitter. I do have sympathy for the guy because Lukaku wasn't supposed to be playing yet. Like they were, his injury timeline was, Roberto Martinez, the Belgium coach, was going to save him for the knockout stages, but then they reached a point where they needed to win or they weren't getting to the knockouts. So they forced him back early, and he looked terrible. Like he looked terrible, but this is a guy who hasn't played football in months. So I have some sympathy for Lukaku for that.
Alvarez has he replaced Lautaro Martinez in the starting 11?
Yeah, and he's looked damn good. He scored that gigantic. He was the one who scored when he went coast to coast, right?
Yeah.
That was one of the best goals of the cup. That was incredible.
Yeah. So
and the whole time I'm watching him make that run, I'm like, pass it. But oh nope, glad he didn't pass it.
Yeah, it's why I didn't like this World Cup, because the quality of the football come January is gonna be so bad.
Yeah.
Depending not completely, but you'll have the outliers where like a team like Inter will have some downfall because of the amount of players that had to go for them. You'll see Juventus, like you saw Allegri, what he said, right? He's concerned about his team's fitness.
Yep.
Like
I'd be concerned about my team's finances and my team's criminality if I were him. But yeah,
I chirped already. I did my chirp for Juventus the other week. I digress and don't. Lazio's no saint. We were caught cheating in 2006, so there's only so much I can chirp because I don't want to be a hypocrite when my club was no freaking saint back in the day. And you know what? I'll be honest. I still think that at times Latito pulls some freaking corruption out of his ass. But
the other thing is like everyone's doing something, but there's like there's got to be like a limit to how much you're stretching the limits, right? And I think it's like every not because you look at over the years we've seen so many of these just odd plus valenza situations and these weird like player swaps and deals, and it's like wait, that just like where a big club will supposedly sell one of their players for like a huge sum just to make the plus valenza. It's like, wait, there's no way that that's real. So it happens. But, I think the idea is you have to cheat within reason. And once you surpass that, that's when you can get in trouble.
I want to say one thing. Okay, I understand that everyone's bantering Juve, but I want to see. Okay, I'm happy that they're looking into Juve's finances and you're seeing things. But I feel like they're not the only team who does this.
No, I don't think so either.
And I hate the fact that they're the only team that's being pointed out at, because I'd like to know who else is doing shit like this and the corruption that's going on. Because I can probably say that there's probably a handful of teams that should be really under the radar right now, like Juve has been. And
PSG. There's
yeah,
always something
PSG.
going
Like
on there.
I'm just like Man City.
Well, and
Like
it seems like, and it seems like even when Barcelona does get caught, they
yeah,
can still do whatever they want. Like it's like, oh, you guys were cheating, but go ahead and keep doing it. What do we care?
I just don't like it. Like I'll defend Juventus to that degree. That why are they the only team being punished? Like aren't other teams being investigated? Like look when Man City should have been penalized a few seasons ago, and they got a big, massive fine. That was the slap on their wrist. And
Here's the thing with
like,
Juventus, though. Here's the thing with this situation with Juventus. They were initially cleared by the sporting investigators, but then they actually got in trouble with like the law in Italy, like the actual they committed financial crimes, and that's the only reason why they had to reopen the sporting. So they were already cleared. So it's like, they were cleared from a sporting standpoint, which kind of means they were getting that same sort of preferential treatment.
yeah,
But then when you're actually caught by the authorities, then the sporting had to reopen the investigation just because of that, because they had to. So we'll see what happens.
yeah, it's weird. I have to listen to the episode. Apparently, the Forza Napoli podcast by Joseph Fischetti. He has a good breakdown with a good friend of mine, Mike Bonadima and Savi. They break down the whole situation of Juve and what is going on. So that's something that anybody who is interested in that whole, I would say, topic. I guess that's the best way to say it. But yeah, the I'm gonna go off topic here and to answer this question is yeah, isn't it 48 teams now expansion?
Yeah, that's what I was.
It's
You saw
48.
my terrible attempts to type a message in there
Yeah,
while I
it's
was
48.
listening to you. I was like,
I think it's garbage.
it's 32 now. They want to do 48.
It's
Hey,
garbage.
if that's the only chance Italy has to get back into a World Cup, it is what it is. I'll take it.
I hate it. You're asking 12 shit teams to play in the World Cup. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're really asking for some garbage games. Like there probably is a handful of extra teams that maybe should be in the World Cup that will make it more exciting, but from 32 to it's 32 to 48, right?
Now, yeah, 32 to 48.
Like how many more good countries are going to be in the World Cup that will make it very
Italy. Colombia didn't make it this time.
Well, Sweden didn't make it. I think Sweden's very. I respect Sweden. Scotland can make it now. A good friend, Alistair McKenzie, can cheer for his team.
I guess probably more Asian and African teams probably could make it.
Don't get me wrong. It gives certain countries some exposure, so people will see them more on a global presence. So. Yeah, I don't like the idea, but again, it's always a money grab. So, like I said earlier, the number one reason to everything will always be the money, and then after that, it's. But
well, I don't. How about this idea? And I hope they don't actually do this, but I've heard it thrown around where they make the World Cup every 2 years instead of every 4 years. I don't like. I think I would rather have 48 teams every 4 years than do the Cup every 2 years. I just think that it's going to take some of the whole specialness away from it.
If they ever do World Cup every 2 years, just never. I'll never have interest for it ever again. Like, well, I shouldn't say never, but the excitement towards it is not the same.
Yeah.
That's what it is, the build-up.
Yep.
Like, World Cup is not just when you get to the World Cup. There are stages you watch to see will your team make it that far. Like, I think people are don't realize that there are a lot of exciting games to get to that stage in order to see. Like, okay, I understand Italy didn't make it, but still, there were a lot of meaningful games that people watched that kind of that they were interested in to watch, which built to get to that group stage. So I don't know. I think the whole build up, the way you get there, like the history has always been that you go through a series of rounds before you can actually think if you are determined to that round. So,
Right.
Yeah, I think that's. Well, I'm just excited. Another 2 more weeks? Or is it
Yeah.
4?
Finally, I think
And Serie A is
January
back?
4th. So it's 2 more weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 weeks as of
As
Wednesday.
of Saturday or no, when?
As of Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
Next Wednesday, yeah.
Next
In 2
Wednesday,
weeks.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. 2.5 weeks. 3 weeks, I guess you could say. Yeah.
Well,
3 weeks.
I will take it. That's probably a good note to end on. We'll try and reconvene before the next Serie A match day. Jerry Mancini, anything you'd like to promote, sir? Are you doing any writing or are you just laying low?
I'm got 2 articles still in the backlog that I wrote like a couple of months ago that I want to release after. Oh,
Sorry, my phone's ringing.
it's Agnelli. Yeah, I'm on the verge of just never probably writing again. I'm too lazy to write. I'm gonna be honest. It is probably the best thing I ever did. Stop writing. It's given me time to do other things. I've been reading a lot. I've been reading about Gaza, actually, the book of Gaza. It's a fantastic book. It's called Gaza in Italy, and
Oh yeah, that's right. You showed me that.
he's a very interesting character, man. Like player, he is awesome. That's all I can say. He is one crazy mother effer. That's all I can say. Like, yeah, that's all I've been doing. Reading. I've been playing some PS4. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm gonna do a plug actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to ask anybody who has PS4 and wants to play NHL 2023. Message me on Twitter. That's all.
How about that? I like it.
And I would like to maybe one day make that into an actual live thing that Sansone does with that Twitch thing. But at the moment, I'm not too high techy like he is.
We'll figure that one out. Follow Jerry at jmancini8. Follow me at Alex Donno, Donno. And make sure you follow the show, YouTube channel or the audio podcast, Calcio Connection. We'll talk to you guys again next time on another episode of the Calcio Connection podcast. Ciao.
Roma Merda.